This is On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. A weekly recap of your Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Han & Stone Spa, Pat Dion Beverages, The Capitol Grill, Chickies and Pete's, Payroll Service Solutions, and Independence Blue Cross. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, former Flyer Brad Marsh and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome everybody to the beautiful Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, Pennsylvania. Got a nice crowd tonight on a snowy night. You're listening to On the Ice, live here at Chickies and Pete's right here on 1490 WBCB and seen live on YouTube at WBCB Sports. We're going to talk some hockey as the NHL heads into the Four Nations break. The Eagles head into their parade. Brandon Graham heads into who knows what. And we'll talk about all the Flyers tonight with my co-host. Play with the Flyers, played for Canada, Mr. Bradley Marsh. How are you, Brad?
Doing very well, Jolly. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. I know you're excited about the tournament. We'll talk about that in a little while. Our guest tonight never played in the NHL. Never played anywhere. But she's a better singer than either one of us. She's entertained the masses forever at the Wells Fargo Center. Her father had a little something to do with the Flyers as well. Lauren Hart. How are you, Lauren?
I'm awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so much for coming. Let's just talk about the obvious thing first before we get it on. Super Bowl, did you watch?
Yeah, it was a very exciting game until the kickoff. As I've said to many people, as a former player that has been in that type of scenario in hockey, obviously, I'm shocked at the non-response that Kansas City had. It was virtually over. And to me, I was watching the body language and the bench and how the players walked, after a series of downs, walked to the bench. There's a lot can be said about the team's psyche in their body language. And to me, even though the Eagles fans like to think that the game was over at halftime, what was it, 24-0?
Yep.
But I think a lot of people thought, okay, Kansas City, they got the ball in the first set of downs. They're going to come out and do what they normally do. And to me, the biggest set of downs of the Super Bowl was the statement the Eagles made in the first set of downs in the second half.
Yep.
They sacked Mahomes twice, and it was a 3-and-out, and you could just tell how the Kansas City walked off the field. The game was over then.
It's interesting, Lauren, because sports are sports. Obviously, Brad's not a huge football fan. I know that, but body language and reading people is reading people no matter what you're doing, a hockey team, a football team.
That's it.
Those Chiefs were they were a flat tire from almost minute one, huh?
You could feel it right away. And I was saying to my family, it was one of the first times as a Philly sports fan that I watched a game where I just didn't want to jump off a ledge because I felt pretty confident the whole time. But usually when we're watching playoffs or we're watching something, it's like we're hanging on by our claws, with our hair on fire. So it was a different kind of experience to just see them be so dominant and take over. And you could see it. You could feel it with Mahomes, just the way he walked off the field. I'm like, that guy's not on. So for them to do it 3 times in a row, just odds are they weren't going to do it. I was hoping that it was in our favor, and it wasn't their night at all.
Did Brandon retire or not?
Should he or
will he?
Will he?
Well,
it's a nice way to go out.
Sure is. Let's hope the Flyers have that kind of way to go out sometime in the future. Brad, they're at the break, 25 games left, an underdog to make the playoffs, obviously. The trade deadline to come, this Four Nations break, which is a break for all but 4 Flyers. The Travis connecting in Sanheim, Sam Ersson, Ristolainen, who's hurt, won't play for Finland. What are you looking for from those other 3 in this tournament? They're all going to get time. It's a hell of a tournament. You're looking forward to it very much, I know.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Sanheim play because he's had such a breakout year, if you will, last year, and everyone talked about that he went away in the summer and got in better shape and all that kind of stuff. And was that the ceiling we were going to see? But he has continued to improve this year, and he earned, when you pick a roster for a Team Canada or Team USA, there's a certain number of players that you just circle them, they're on the team. And not to take anything away from connecting, because he earned his way on there too. I think he was a consideration at the start of the year. as a player to watch, and maybe he'd make the team. But the way he played, he did make the team. But I don't think Travis Sanheim was on anybody's radar, for heaven's sakes. And the whole hockey world started talking about him, and next thing you know, you do a stroll through the press box, and there's the Team Canada scouting staff there watching the Flyers play. And so I'm really happy for Sanheim. I really looking forward to seeing him play and continue his dominance, if you will.
Lauren, you're not just a singer. You're a hockey fan. I know I've sat with you many times, you and your mom at dinner, with your dad back in the day. Hockey-wise, what do you think about this tournament?
I'm just really excited. I'm so excited. It's so much better for me, so much better than an all-star game, way better. And, like we were talking about earlier, no Olympics, so we really haven't seen these great players, like the best players in the world, are going to face off against each other. And
one of them,
it's really exciting.
10 years from now, whatever, Lauren, if you don't know, and you probably don't, has adopted her and her husband, Todd, who's interesting himself. We'll talk about him a little later on.
Interesting.
One of the most interesting people on earth. Have adopted.
Don't tell him that.
Don't announce that. Is he listening?
Of course he is. Yes.
You've adopted 4 kids from Africa.
Yes.
Beck, a 14-year-old Ethiopian, is a hockey player who you said. Now you're a mom. Obviously, you're going to be optimistic, but has an outside, who knows what chance to further his hockey beyond high school.
Yeah.
How exciting is that? I mean, obviously the African kids, the hockey part of it, your family, the blended family. It's pretty amazing stuff you got going on.
It's very cool. When we got together with the kids, I was just hoping that they'd like to watch hockey.
Are they all from Ethiopia?
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't know that they'd be interested in it at all. They were different ages, like 3 months, between 3 months and 7 years old. So I was just hoping they'd like it. And my brother said to me before they came, he's like, "What's not to like? There's flashing lights and loud noises." And he's like, "It's like all things kids like, fast-moving things." And they all really are fans. I have 3 girls and a boy, but my son plays hockey. And his grandfather would be very proud, and he loves doing it, and that's his dream. So it's fun to watch him.
2 years ago, today or tomorrow, you'd be getting on the bus going to the Quebec Pee Wee tournament.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah, he
last year.
He went last year. And you went up to Quebec as well, and had a grand time. And so the Flyers Quebec Pee Wee team leaves tomorrow for.
Oh wow!
How many years has that tournament gone on? I've lost track.
65, I think. This is their 65th
65.
year.
And what's really cool is all the kids go up and they stay in billets house, and some of the billets have been their second generation. Like they grew up with all these little Pee Wee kids coming in and staying at their house, and now they're doing it. And so it's a really cool tournament. It's an international tournament. Teams come from all over the world to play in it. And Rob Baer from the Flyers heads it up. And so you're getting on a bus. I think they leave at 6 in the morning tomorrow morning. So you were on that bus.
Well, I didn't go on the bus.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of
But-
bus,
You had other kids to look after
I
first.
did.
Yes.
I did. Todd went on the bus. But
Okay.
I did make it there eventually, though.
Yes.
No, it's a spectacular event, and it's cool to see. Yeah, kids from all over the world are playing there, and then you'll see, they'll go to past players that are now in the NHL. So it's a really cool first giant event for young hockey players.
your father basically built the entire Philadelphia area back in the day.
Yeah.
Gene Hart, for anybody who's lived under a rock for the last whatever amount of years, he basically taught Philadelphia hockey. I mean, other people did too. They won the cup in their 7th year. We all know about the Broad Street Bullies. Your father was an opera singer, the race caller at Brandywine Raceway, horse racing. A very well-rounded man, but hockey was his DNA.
Yep.
How did he come to be that? Obviously, when the Flyers came here, it could have been Gene Jolovitz or Gene Marsh.
Yeah.
Why Gene Hart, and how did he get involved?
So, interesting fact, my father had an autograph book when he was a real little kid. And I want to say 6 or 7 years old, and wrote, "I want to be a hockey announcer."
Wow.
Spelled completely incorrect, which is shocking.
Where did your
because
dad grow up?
He grew up in New York City.
Okay.
So he started by, as a little kid, would go to Rangers games. And he would listen on the radio, and he just fell in love with hockey. But really fell in love with the broadcasting side. And he played football and he played baseball in high school and college, but hockey was always his sport.
Hard to imagine Gene Hart playing football, Brad. Can you imagine that?
He was a big guy.
He would
Well,
clog up.
very big guy.
He would
That's
clog
right.
up some holes. I'll
There
tell
you
you
go.
that. Yeah.
There you go.
And
He wasn't a running back.
No.
No.
And what Gene did with hockey, obviously the songs we knew already, but how did you get into National Anthem, God Bless America, obviously the legacy with Kate Smith? You're a singer today, you write your own music.
I do.
How did, obviously you had a connection with the Flyers, but
I did.
that works for the first time. You kicked in the door, and I've done it for so many years because you're really good. How'd that all happen?
So, well, I grew up watching a million different singers be with the team over the years, and I always thought, oh, man, I want to do that. And I'd ask my dad, can you get me in? And he was not a stage parent at all and was very reluctant about pushing his kid out there for my sake, too. Not about him, but for my sake, that it's a huge thing to do, So I did it a few times early on, but came back here like close to 2000, and I did it when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So Ed Snyder had asked me would I come and sing the opening night, and that they were going to honor him, and he could walk me out on the ice, and it'd be this whole cool moment. And we did that, and when I came off, they said, would you come every night? And I said, well, okay. Not thinking ever in a million years
You'd still be here.
that I'd be here doing this song. But, circumstance and things just happened, and family and life changes, and I've always loved hockey. I've always loved that team. And it was sort of a comfort zone for me to be there, because that's family for me, the Snyder family, and for my mom and my brother and sister. So it just kind of, all the right things came together at the right time.
How much of it is motivated, and Brad's going to think I'm joking, but I'm not. The times I had dinner with you many, 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 many times before a game and threatened that if your voice went, I was going to sing. How much was that a motivation?
Extremely motivating.
All right, if you had one song to sing tonight, Canada and Sweden, obviously the United States played, there's a certain whatever in singing the national anthem or God Bless America for a national crowd. Obviously the Flyers is thrilling, but that would be something extra special.
Yeah.
You can sing one song for the crowd at the final of this tournament. Would you sing God Bless America or the Star Spangled Banner?
Well, you know my answer.
I think I do. God Bless America.
That's right, yes. I would sing God Bless America. Only, it's so, in the Four Nations tournament, of course, you want to represent your country, and so the anthems, etc. But as far as, I don't think I've ever felt like the roof is going to blow off the building like you do when God Bless America is played in Philadelphia for
You didn't sing for the World Cup in '96, did you?
I didn't, no. I didn't live here at that time.
All right, and obviously you sang Forever and Ever and Ever. Do you still get nervous?
Yes, of course. It's a hard song. It's a hard song, and everybody's looking at you like, don't mess up.
There's no do-over. If I make a mistake on the ice, I can go grab someone and beat them up or something like that.
There's no do-over.
Yeah.
And it's just you. There's no second defenseman or goaltender or whatever.
Right. And
So when there's another sporting event on, i.e. the Super Bowl,
yeah.
Are you fixated on whomever is singing the national anthem?
Yes, I kind of get nervous for them,
Yes.
too, because I don't care who you are, if you're Beyonce or whomever. It's really nerve-wracking. It's really, really nerve-wracking.
And do you ever say, ooh, they're a little off tonight?
I try not to judge, but yeah, every now and again,
Yes,
Can you tell
There's
when
been some
someone's lip syncing?
clunkers. What's that?
Can you tell when someone's lip syncing? Because they do a good job and make it very hard to tell.
I can.
And is it ever live or is it lip synced every time though?
It seems to be recorded. Not in every venue.
Is that because
but-
someone's afraid the mic's going to break or they're going to forget something? Or
Oh, I guess a lot of reasons.
I think
a
at
lot
one
of
time
different
an anthem singer probably extended the song, because they're on
you
such
can
a
bet on
strict,
how long it takes.
on such a strict timeline
Yeah.
for everything around a sporting event, especially the Super Bowl. All those commercials they have to plug in, they can't afford to have something go over time.
Right,
so
right.
I think it's unfortunate that they do tape it. I get it, but you like hearing them live as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I think, when you hear a flaw or when it's a little rough, that makes people feel, if your heart's in it, people are with you.
Heart.
So there you go.
Lauren Hart.
Now, the song, and I'm drawing a blank, my old brain's drawing a blank. It wasn't, they sang the national anthem. It was a wonderful job. And then the song they sang before that.
America the Beautiful.
America the Beautiful. There we go.
Beautiful,
Sorry,
yeah.
I forgot. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
But I thought that was a wonderful rendition.
It was.
It
I
was.
never heard it done quite like that before.
Really well.
No,
That
it
was really cool.
It was, yeah.
What's your point of view? Because I have a pet peeve on this. I don't want the national anthem to be performed. I want the national anthem to be sung, which is what you do. I don't want 3 verses at the end. You write your own stuff. Perform any other song on the planet, not that one. How do you feel about that?
I'm kind of with you on that. And I think, my dad, that's the only advice he ever gave me about singing. He's like, just sing the song. He's like, just sing the song. Don't try to outdo it. And just by the nature of different people coming in, you're going to add your own voice to it, your own personality, your own style. But changing it and doing all different things,
There's nothing worse than standing on the blue line before a hockey game, especially a playoff game. And the anthem singer comes out, and it is a long operatic version of the national anthem. Nothing, if you're the visiting team, you're okay.
Right.
But nothing deflates the home team more than a bad national anthem singer.
Yeah.
That's why they keep
Oh,
Lauren.
it's painful.
Yeah.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about a partner in crime Lauren had, although I don't think she ever met her, Kate Smith. A legacy in Flyers lore that hopefully will get going again with some Stanley Cup playoffs. Maybe it will, maybe it won't for obvious reasons. We're going to be back with On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross from Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, PA. People having a good time here. Great week in Philadelphia sports. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
Blow the whistle. Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. There's only one official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Chickies and Pete's. Ready for the big game? Go where the players go. Don't wait. Reserve your table right now for the big game for all of our locations at chickiesandpete's.com. The best in-game experience anywhere. Be the MVP of your big game with Chickie and Pete's to-go catering. The Eagles are in the big game. Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
Children's mental health is in crisis. That's why the Kids Mental Health Foundation envisions a future where mental health is a vital part of growing up. Parents tell us the challenges are real.
So you know what to do if they have a fever. But when you see them struggling emotionally, and you're like, what do I do?
You're gonna find tons of things on the internet, but you want it to be from a trusted source.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation provides free, expert-developed resources to millions across the United States. Don't wait for a concern or crisis. Learn more at kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
And welcome back. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. This week with the break, Flyers played an abbreviated schedule. Travis Konechny played solid hockey traveling into the Four Nations Cup. Let's give Travis a boost in the Four Nations. He's our Player of the Week. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless. We're living fearless with Lauren Hart, Brad Marsh, our co-host. Kate Smith's situation is obviously something that's very touchy. You used to do songs with her. She'd appear on the screen. Mm-hmm. They would do it in amazing ways. Mm-hmm. That's not happening anymore. I don't want to get you in any kind of trouble or put you in an uncomfortable spot, but what was that like for you?
Really weird because it was such a huge part of the tradition of the team and the history of the team, and it was such a unique to have that video split screen that I did with her was unique to only Philadelphia. I'd never seen anyone do that before at a sporting event. You know, it's all kind of entertainment. I mean, we are trying to be patriotic and, you know, it is a little more serious, but it really is part of the entertainment, the show of the evening. And it was, you know, fans loved it, you know, it made them happy. So I always loved doing it. And I thought it was such a special, unique idea.
Do you remember the first time you did that? That must have been
I do.
Wow.
The roof would blow off.
It
because
did.
Nobody knew what was coming except you.
Yeah.
And the camera guy.
That's right. Well,
so that must have just been incredible.
It was. And we rehearsed it. Ron Ryan, who was president at the time, it was his idea because he loved Natalie Cole and Nat King Cole, the unforgettable version that they did. He was a big music fan. And we actually did a second one with Ray Charles for America the Beautiful. It was a split screen. But the Kate Smith thing obviously took off. It was a huge hit for Philly fans. But I sang it the first time like a half hour before doors opened. And it just worked, you know. It just really, really worked.
Brad, you talked about how a bad national anthem can take the starch out of a crowd. A good national anthem, a full house, New Wells Fargo Center. Obviously, you played the Spectrum. What can a good national anthem do, whether it's Lauren or anybody else, to energize the crowd, to energize the team? Obviously, you're already energized, but what can a good start do for you?
Well, it just builds to the excitement and the electricity in that home building from the singer to the crowd. When the song's over, the anthem's over, the crowd's cheering, the players do well. Everybody's on the bench now, but they do that one last little lap around the rink, and it's just an awesome feeling. You can't wait for the puck to be dropped.
Yeah.
All right, Lauren Hart has been here through thick and thin, through the entire history of the Philadelphia Flyers, and Lauren Hart's favorite Flyer ever is
Brad Marsh.
Diplomacy is your better half, right?
It really is, you know.
We've talked on the show a lot about playoffs and what playoffs mean. Yeah, what playoffs mean to the Flyer fan. And I know we're in a rebuild, and I don't know if we'll make the playoffs this year. But you've sang the anthem in a lot of scenarios. A home opener is always electric.
Always great.
But then the 40 other home games, maybe a Pittsburgh game thrown in and a Ranger game thrown in, is a little more electric. But once again, when the playoffs, it's a whole different atmosphere when you sing for the playoffs. And then if you get to the next round, et cetera, like 2010 was such an unbelievable run. And like you probably you would have run down the Schuylkill, you know, in that final series, and it's just everybody's just so pumped. And so there's a difference. We've talked about it many times. We need the playoffs back to re-energize.
Yes.
Have you sing, you know, and do we give out them orange T-shirts, and it's a sea orange.
Yeah.
And, so we need to get back there we can get all the elements clicking again.
Right. We kind of had a little taste of it earlier in the season with the Anaheim game.
Yes.
Cutter Gauthier.
I could feel it. You know, I can feel the energy of the crowd before I even walk out there. You just feel you can sense it.
6-0 win, too.
Man, that night, fans were on and they were ready. So that was the first time that I felt that electricity in quite some time that I really loved it.
We need to find another player that the fans can hate.
Cutter go on. Hate any opponent.
Or get Cutter. They should have traded him in our division, then he would have been here
we would have
3
seen
times.
him more often.
Could have done that, yep. This question, I know the answer is not Brad Marsh, but Lauren Hart is an attractive young lady. There have been a lot of Flyers come through. You're at every game. Put 2 and 2 together. Lauren Hart, I hate to ask you this, but I was asked if I was going to ask you by more than one person. Has any Flyer, you don't have to name anybody, just say none of your business, anybody ever asked you out that was a member of the hockey team?
Well, yes, and I'm not telling.
More than one?
Not telling, maybe. And, you know, my dad was there. He had a watchful eye. He knows hockey players.
The broadcast would have been, and so gives the puck away again,
so
missed it, check again. He would have got him traded.
There we are. Well, how bad do you miss the playoffs? I mean, you're a fan.
I do.
Been a while since the playoffs. The bubble year, nobody saw them, so it didn't matter. But back, 2010, we remember, and Philadelphia's got such a great crowd that deserves great results, obviously.
Yeah.
How do you as a fan, how much do you miss it, your family and the like?
Oh, we miss it incredibly so. I mean, and it's not just for Flyers fans. As you can see with the Eagles, you don't have to be an everyday, I saw every Eagles play throughout the entire season. It just energizes the entire city, and it just changes the vibe of people. So, I mean, you don't have to be a Flyers fan to get into playoffs, right? So, but for me, I mean, I miss it. I'm sad when April comes along. And I do watch it to the very end. I watch until they bring that cup out, and because I really do enjoy watching, and I like hockey. So I will watch it, but I'd much rather watch it with us in there, yeah.
Another game that was interesting, Brad, I don't remember who they were playing, but don't. A couple weeks ago, the Zamboni was ridden between periods by a certain player who scored a touchdown on his birthday in the Super Bowl, Cooper DeJean. Do you remember that? Had a huge ovation right around the rink. Looks like he's 9 years old. Turned 22. You see that?
No.
Pretty
That's
cool.
the first I've heard about it, too.
Yeah. Well, what's it like, Brad, when obviously the Eagles or you guys in the finals a couple times when you played, the community of Philadelphia athletes responding to each other? Obviously, could be different then and now, but what's that like in general?
Well, it's cool. Everywhere you go, people are excited. And when I was here in the 80s, like, we were Flyer town.
Yes.
And yes, the three other pro teams were here and had various success during that decade, but we were a Flyer town. But what's neat about it is I think every school had an Eagle pep rally the week leading up to the Super Bowl. They'll do the same when the Flyers are in. They'll do the same when the Sixers are in. They'll do the same when the Phillies should be in. But it's just a great atmosphere because every little kid, as you said, they're not watching the game really, but they know it's excited to cheer for them. They're going to win and all that stuff. It's just, well, everywhere you go, it's electric.
It really is.
It's fun to be a part of.
It's fun to be a part of this city. Trade deadline's coming up, guys. 2 weeks for this tournament. The schedule's kind of compressed because obviously the All-Star break's not normally 2 weeks. Flyers have a lot of decisions to make. Rasmus Ristolainen looks like a pretty good trade candidate with a contract that once looked horrible, now looks pretty good to a lot of teams. Scott Lawton, who I love, don't want him traded, but you're going to get a John Gotti offer at some point that you can't refuse. You think Danny Briere is going to be active, buying, selling? They already made one deal. Obviously a salary cap dump, if you want to call it that, with Farabee and Frost. Do you think more of the same? Do you think it depends on what happens in the first few games out of the break? What's your gut on this?
Well, I think Danny is going to be active, but he will not jeopardize the future of the team.
Ton of draft picks this year.
And he'll listen to offers, I would assume, for everybody with the exception of the guys playing in the Four Nation Cup. But I think everybody's on the table for the right deal, and we'll see what happens. But it would be nice. I understand draft picks. I understand building through the draft. But in hockey, we're different than football, where our draft pick, they still have to mature unless they're a superstar and one of those special players. So we won't see a player maybe for 3 years that was a top 10 pick. So, but we need some live bodies. We need some help at the various positions. And so as they are acquiring draft picks, I hope they get a nice, young, warm body as well, or two.
Yeah. All right, Lauren, just throw a name out there. Not a question, just going to say a name, get your reaction. Matvei Michkov.
I love him. I absolutely love him. I love his spirit and his attitude on the ice, and that he just wants to win. And, you could get into the technicalities of playing in the NHL and what he might have been lacking and what he needed to learn. But he's just one of those guys that is going to be part of elevating this team. He's really special talent. Love
All right,
him.
this is a personal thing for me, and you're on very seldom once a year. I actually am a student of national anthems. I think there are 4 great national anthems in the world. The American Star-Spangled Banner, O Canada, La Marseillaise, and I don't know what it's called, but the Russian national anthem.
It's good.
It's fantastic. It was kept by Putin after Russia got blown apart. One of the great national anthems ever. Do you agree with me on that? Do you sing other national anthems?
I'm going to agree with you on that. Yes.
What was the third anthem you said?
France.
France,
okay.
yeah, France.
Yep.
I think I'll agree with you on all of those.
Certain national anthems, they play them, and it's like, what? Why?
I know, it's true.
Like the Olympics, you hear the national anthem of Tonga, wah, 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 wah. They're all great, but certain amounts stand above the rest.
Yeah, it is. They do.
it
Those are all
really
good
is.
ones.
Yep.
Epic. They're kind of epic and soundtrack, like
Yep. The crescendo at the end.
That's it.
Brad, hopefully there's a crescendo at the end of this season. What do the Flyers have to do to make the playoffs? A few points behind now. Obviously, got to catch a few teams. 25 games left. Obviously, everybody playing well would be nice. Sam Ersson, the goaltender, solidifying that position. But who has to really catch fire? Is there a key, or does the whole team sort of have to ride a wave?
The whole team has to catch fire. It's just not one. Well, we need to score more goals. Well, we just can't look at one player or two players or one line to score a few goals and hopefully they win. The whole team has to catch fire. The goaltenders have to be lights out. The defense have to be rock solid in their end. And the thing, you said we got 25 games left?
Yep.
We might have to win 20 of them.
Win 20?
Yeah, when you put it in that perspective, because we're chasing 7 other teams.
Yep.
And so of those 7 teams, they're 6 points ahead. And so some of them will only have to play 500 hockey or 550 hockey or whatever. We have to exceed that. I'm not sure who we're playing down the stretch. And so any team that is in one of those 6 teams, that is the biggest game of the year. We can't let a team that we're trying to chase beat us.
Yeah, divisional games, conference games are huge. I love those out-of-conference games, though, Brad. When you play a Western Conference team and you go to overtime, which the Flyers have done a lot, it really doesn't matter if the other team scores because they're not competing against you with points. I love an interconference game in overtime where nobody gives you know what if the other team scores. It's just wide-open hockey. You like that overtime?
Well, I do like the overtime, but I also like the shootout. It's an exciting element. See, when I played, there was no overtime. You had a tie. And so I like the overtime. And as I said, I like the shootout. It's exciting. Fans are really engaged in it. I think they do have to tweak the rules of the overtime. It drives me crazy when they take the puck all the way back. And I don't know how they tweak that. They can't take it over the red line or something. I'm not so sure. But they take it all the way back, and then they change, and so on and so on. It's funny because when the 3-on-3 first started, like no one really knew what to expect. So it was just like they're going crazy.
Yeah.
And then the coaches started watching video, and then they decided. Then now there's strategies and all that kind of stuff. But it is very exciting, and I know they've talked about maybe changing it or making it 4-on-4 or whatever. Just leave it alone. It's exciting.
It is exciting.
Tortorella doesn't have to worry about anything in the playoffs because no overtime, obviously, in the or no shootouts in the playoffs. You play till someone scores. We're playing till 7 o'clock here at Chickies and Peace in Audubon. A lot of TVs. Sixers are playing tonight. Wish they would wake up a little bit.
You're going to try and tell everybody that Embiid's a player?
He's a player, but he's a player that doesn't play a whole lot. He's not playing tonight. Flyers aren't playing tonight either till Saturday the 22nd. We're talking Flyers hockey with Lauren Hart and Brad Marsh. We're back at Chickies and Audubon right after this. Stay with us.
Blow the whistle. Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. There's only one official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Chickies and Pete's. Ready for the big game? Go where the players go. Don't wait. Reserve your table right now for the big game for all of our locations at chickiesandpete's.com. The best in-game experience anywhere. Be the MVP of your big game with Chickie and Pete's to-go catering. The Eagles are in the big game. Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
WBCB is now on your FM dial at 107.3, serving Bucks, Burlington, and Mercer counties since 1957. You can now listen to all your WBCB favorites crystal clear on 107.3 FM. A new age for WBCB on a new frequency, 107.3.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
And we are back. It's time now for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Danny and his bunch call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. Simple stat tonight. Flyers have 25 games left in a sprint for the playoffs. 55 points, a little bit back. The trade deadline as well. Good luck, boys. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering to the small and medium-sized businesses. Handle all of your payroll needs. Payroll Service Solutions, 1-866-PAY-EASY. Lauren, you're not somebody who shows up 41 times a year and sings a song and then goes to a cave the rest of the year. You got a career of your own. You're obviously a singer. You got 4 kids. You got an unbelievably interesting husband. I'm going to talk about in a second. But talk to us about, you're involved with a lot of things with the Grammys.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your singing career and Lauren Hart off the ice.
So, yeah, I mean, I've been involved doing my own original music from day one. So I make albums and I tour and I play and I kind of work that around the hockey schedule, which is nice because my family is here in the Philadelphia area. And so it all kind of somehow went together and works. But I write for TV and for films and score documentaries, which I have a passion for. I love documentaries.
Well,
so.
let's lead into the documentary thing with
Yes.
Todd then, because your husband, Todd Carmichael, who I met at a golf tournament maybe 25 years ago and have loved since then, if he's not one of the 10 most interesting people on earth, there's 10 people I don't know about. I don't even know where to start. Tell everybody about your husband, what he's doing now. He's unlike anybody you've ever met in your life, guaranteed.
Yeah, he's unique. He's a man unto himself. Yeah, so, he's the founder of La Colombe, the coffee company.
And that's nothing. That's like number 18 on the list.
Yeah, it's getting lower and lower as time's going forward. But I think a lot of people got to know him. I mean, that La Colombe was behind the scenes, but a lot of people came to know him because he set a world record crossing Antarctica on foot on a solo track.
Not Conshohocken, Antarctica.
Antarctica, yes.
Yeah.
And went to the South Pole. And, it was a pretty amazing feat. He was out there for 40 days and plus. And
you're married? Were you married at that point?
Yeah, we were. And I said, okay, on the condition, I said, take this camera and keep a video diary, because I thought, well, it'll keep him company, because that's a long time to be isolated. And when you're there, it's just white. It's
and
ice.
8,000 degrees below zero, by the way.
Right.
And no wah-wah, no nothing.
Right. You don't see anything. So that's a really sensory deprivation and cold and really weird. So I said, keep this diary, and when you come home, we'll just see what we can do with it. So we did end up making a film out of it, which I did the music for, and it did really well. It won the LA Film Cinema Festival, and yeah, it was. But it's just it's the fact that he did it. I'd like to say we made a nice movie, but it's the fact that he did that thing, which was really just superhuman and unusual. To do that kind of physical feat, So.
Do you know him, Brad? Do you know Todd?
I've met him. I don't know him well,
Yeah.
but you mean I see him in a lot of Flyer functions
Yep.
and also at a lot of charitable events, but I don't know him.
And you mentioned, Lauren, a documentary you're doing. Another, none of us in this restaurant would do it right now. I don't even know where to start. Tell us about this documentary you're scoring that is another unbelievable feat.
So he's trekking across Death Valley with this sort of rig that he's built.
In the middle of the summer.
Yeah. Oh. I guess that's how he reels me in. He's telling me he's going to do all this crazy stuff. He's like, yeah,
because
but you're
it's
gonna,
there or
because
some
it's
other
a film.
reason?
You can score the film and you can do all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. But that's how he gets me in there to say, yeah, okay, you can do that. But yeah, he's going to do a solo walk across Death Valley, and
why not?
Why not, right? Why not?
He worked for a king, didn't he?
He worked for the Prince of Saudi Arabia at one point.
What do you do for the Prince of Saudi Arabia?
Anything he says.
And quickly.
Yeah. I mean, he was a young man, a lot younger, and yeah, it's just like an attaché, like a confidant, and somebody who, just traveled with him, and
you got 4 kids, though. I mean, obviously he's doing things where.
That was long before I met him.
But if things don't go well, it's not like you put a Band-Aid on. Obviously, things can happen. Now that you have a family, is he a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, but...
Yeah, he is. He is. He definitely is.
Would you walk across Antarctica by yourself, Brad?
Well, I'm just thinking, I'm doing the math. It's interesting. Death Valley and Antarctica, it's a difference of, 120 degrees?
Yes. He wanted to do the 2 extremes for the bookend.
Do you remember I called you one time when he was walking across Antarctica? Mm-hmm. You had some contact through some solar, God knows what.
Yes.
And I said to you, how's he doing? You said the first night, his snowshoe broke.
Yeah.
I'm walking across 4 million miles and 1,000 degrees below zero, and my shoe broke. It's not like there's a pay easy or pay less shoe store.
He had skis, which is much easier to traverse on skis, right? So what he had to do was literally walk and pull that sled. So that was really above and beyond. But he did have a sat phone, and I would be in communication with him. And I was just like, keep going. Because in my mind, I'm like, you're never doing this again, so you better get it done.
Well, you don't know this, but our co-host tonight, Mr. Marsh, may not have walked across Antarctica, but you did ride a bike across Canada. Tell us about that. I know we've talked about this before, but not recently.
Oh, really?
What was that like?
Cool.
Well, it was just one of those, I don't know where us guys get these ideas from, but I'm an avid bike rider, and it was always in the back of my mind to do it, and I had some time. And it was in 2012, and kind of come up with the idea of I'm going to ride across Canada, and my oldest son, he came with me the whole way, and so he drove the sag wagon or the help wagon, and so we did it for the Boys and Girls Club. So we would leave wherever we slept, and we would ride. We didn't go as the crow flies.
Where do you sleep, by the way? Did hotels put you up?
No, we stayed in motels. You get in a hotel, it's a pain in the rear end to take all your gear up to the 8th floor.
Motel, whatever. Did they know you were coming? And it was
No, we booked it. My Patty, my wife, she was at home base in Ottawa looking after the other 3 kids. I'm sorry. They were all away at school at that time. But anyhow, she was teaching at the time, and so I'd call and say, okay, it looks like we're going to stay here in the middle of Saskatchewan. And so she would zero in on a hotel or a motel in this little town in Saskatchewan, and then we'd roll in and we'd just book a room. But it was wonderful because when we got into a town, we would ride to the Boys and Girls Club, and we played road hockey against the kids.
Cool.
And then we would just get on our bikes and ride to the motel. But my son, as I said, he drove. I would leave early in the morning. He would do all the riding and so on, the bogging. And then he would get in the car and catch up to me. He would refuel me, if you will. And then he would go to wherever we were sleeping that night. Then he'd get on his bike and ride back. And then we'd ride into the town together. But my son, who lived in Calgary at the time, he joined us riding through the mountains, which was cool. And then my one daughter, she rode with me through Ontario. And then all the kids were with me for the last leg of the trip through the Maritimes. And so my one daughter drove the van, and the rest of us rode our bikes. We had a great time.
That is so cool.
A great time, yeah.
I don't want to play Can You Top This, but
that's
pretty
amazing. How many miles is that?
It was about 8,000, 8,100 miles, and because we kind of zigzagged through
8,100, Antarctica, Death Valley.
What do you got, Paul? Come on, bring it out.
I took my bike. We have a house in Avalon, Amy and I took my bike, and we're on 25th Street, so I could have gone from 25th to the end of the island. I didn't do that. I went back to 1st Street and rode across the entire island of Avalon Stone Harbor.
You're amazing.
7 miles.
That's impressive.
By myself.
That's impressive.
In 70-degree weather.
That's impressive.
Yep.
Did you make stops along the way?
A couple, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Lauren, do you get recognized a lot? I mean, obviously, I know who you are, and a lot of Philadelphians know who you are, but not everybody's a Flyer fan. Do you get one of those looks like, damn, I know her, but where from? Here or other places?
I do. I mean, I think, my dad was so well known. So by nature of being, his daughter, a lot of people knew the family and everything. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing it long enough now. And I've also, the Flyers are my team, but I've sung for the Eagles and for the Phillies and for the Sixers.
That was my next question. Have you sang for the other sports?
Yeah. So, I kind of feel like, and so all sports fans. And then I had I had a TV show on NBC for a while for here. So, yeah, I mean, I think, I kind of got a good Philly following.
The other sports teams, they don't have a dedicated national anthem singer. They rotate it through.
Yeah.
Brad, when you came here in 1980, 81, did you know who Gene Hart was, and what did he mean to the Flyers?
Well, of course, I didn't know who he was, but I knew who he was once I was traded here because he traveled with us on the plane and all the road trips and all that kind of stuff because he did the TV, but he also did the radio.
Did he have a different relationship to the fans of this city than Jim Jackson, who's great, obviously, but because of what he did and the whole teaching the city, was he in kind of his own category? We've had some great broadcasters in Philadelphia. Where was he?
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when the Flyers came here. No one really knew hockey.
Yeah.
He didn't know the rules, and so it was up to Gene, not so much to say who made a great pass or headman the puck or whatever. That's icing.
Yeah.
That's offside.
Right.
Like I started my career in Atlanta, and every time there was an icing, the PA announcer explained what icing was.
Oh, that's wild.
And but Gene, and if you talk to older people, they'll all say the same thing. Gene Hart taught him the game of hockey.
Yeah.
And it was as simple as that. That's why, I shouldn't say that's why people loved him, but that was one of the many reasons why they loved him, because he was part of the family. He just wasn't an announcer.
Right. And I think winning the cup here sort of like cemented that all together. You win a championship like that, it means so much to everybody into the city. And he and Ed Snyder had a great relationship. So it was just a lot of, it was a family, and it was permeated into the...
He was in the parade, all the clips I see, there's always the picture of him on the car.
We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to ask you about Ed Snyder afterwards. Obviously, with the Flyers from day one, with your dad from day one. Lauren Hart's our guest. Brad Marsh is with us at Chickies and Pizza in Audubon. Final segment follows this. We're having fun tonight.
Blow the whistle. Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. There's only one official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Chickies and Pete's. Ready for the big game? Go where the players go. Don't wait. Reserve your table right now for the big game for all of our locations at chickiesandpete's.com. The best in-game experience anywhere. Be the MVP of your big game with Chickie and Pete's to-go catering. The Eagles are in the big game. Chickies and Pete's.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, police officers, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
All right, Lauren Hart's with us, Brad Marsh. I want both your answers to this one, guys. Obviously, Brad, you talked about how one team motivates another in a city like this. The Super Bowl, seeing a team win the Super Bowl, what does that do? Does that, obviously, you want to win the Stanley Cup, you work with the Flyers, have the alumni. Does the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and you seeing everybody going berserk and what it does to a city make you want it even more?
Yeah, winning breeds winning. And
Yep.
so I hope, I will assume that every Flyer watched the Super Bowl because that's the thing, especially with the Eagles in it. To me, that just will make them want it more. They probably will work a little harder in practice, have a real hard summer, but everybody loves winning. Everybody wants to win. Everybody hates to lose. And so, hey, that's another reason why everyone loves the Flyers from the 70s. We were a city of losers at the time, and we won the Stanley Cup, and Lauren's dad called that Stanley Cup, the Flyers have won the Stanley Cup, and people remember that, and winning breeds winning. So I think it's great. I hope the Phillies do have another great season and take it that next step, because that's right when the hockey season will be started, and that'll just make our players want it more.
Does Lauren Hart, the Eagle fan, fuel Lauren Hart, the Flyer fan at all?
Oh, I don't need any fuel for the Flyer fan thing. I'm on 365. I love it.
All right.
You know, I cannot wait for this team to make the playoffs. I'm very excited for that.
And the man who started it all, even before your dad, obviously hired your dad, Ed Snyder, was here till 2016. The face of the team, the heart of the team, the soul of the team, whatever you want to call it. What did Ed Snyder not just mean to the hockey team, Lauren, but to your family?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, he was such a great friend to my father, and was always a great supporter of the family. And then when my father passed away, he was, he just sort of took me under his wing, and he's like another dad for me. He was really, really great, and he supported me through some tough times, and was always like, super proud that I was doing the anthem for the team, and really brought me into the fold, and sort of just reinforced that idea that we are a family there, and the rest of his family I'm close with, especially with his daughter, and yeah.
And that the family thing, I went to school with Ed's daughter, Lindy. Brad, there are teams that are owned by quote-unquote family-type guys, and teams are owned by Joe and Bob, businessmen, bottom-line guys. You play with a lot of teams. Was there a difference in the ownership of Ed Snyder than there was, I have no idea who owned the teams, in any of the other places you played?
Well, I was fortunate because every team I played on, I'm just thinking of each team, was owned by an individual.
Okay.
I was fortunate. I played in Detroit. The Ilitch family owned the team,
Amazing.
and they still
Amazing,
do own
yeah.
it. Wonderful family, and they're just like
Little Caesars.
Yeah,
Little
Little
Caesars.
They're just like Mr. Snyder was Mr. Ilitch,
Yeah.
and a wonderful owner in Calgary. There was a group of guys that owned the team, but they were salt of the earth, down to earth Westerners. They weren't cowboys; they were oilmen. But it was, like I said, I was very fortunate that individual owns the team, with the exception of Toronto. Harold Ballard owned the team, and when I got there, he was
Not real popular.
senile old man. And but now, I don't know if unfortunate is the right word, because Comcast certainly does a wonderful job with the Flyers. They give us the salary cap every year to go spend it. They renovated the Wells Fargo Center, $600 million or something. But it misses something when a corporation owns the sports team. There's not the same hands-on approach. It's just another item.
Cha-ching.
It's just another item on the agenda for them to talk about.
Well, I think, and a big part of Ed Snyder, in addition to all the things, just to see that man up in his seat, his passion.
He cared, obviously.
All the fans could see it. He wanted it just like they wanted it. He was in it with them, and that's why they loved him. Because he saw his emotion. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people talk about players. Oh, they play to win. They play to win, which is a pretty good trait for a player if you don't have it. But Ed owned the Flyers to win. He would do whatever it took. If he thought a trade, he didn't care what, because there's a lot of the years that their salary cap wasn't involved. If he thought a player was going to help the team, he went out and got him. It didn't matter what it cost, and et cetera, et cetera. He owned the team to win, and he wanted to win not the Stanley Cup every year. He wanted to win every game, which would then therefore meant you would win the Stanley Cup.
And it drips down from the top. Another situation, a sad situation, obviously, it drips down from the top. Brad, we've talked about it a lot of the year. It has another layer to it now. Johnny and his brother Gaudreau riding their bikes and killed in New Jersey in August by a drunk driver. And that Guy Gaudreau he's coached, been helped by John Tortorella, coached Flyer practice, Columbus, Calgary. The U.S. team at the Four Nations Cup has kind of embraced him. He's become a member of that team, went to the team dinner, helped at practice. To salute Johnny Gaudreau. What does that do for hockey? What is that a statement about this family and their presence in the area? And then we'll ask Lauren too about it.
I think you've heard a lot of players say the dressing room is special and the hockey players are special and the team is special. And I think for the Gaudreau family, especially Guy, he's been in that house enough times, and he sits and looks at the four walls, and for him to get an opportunity to put a whistle around his neck and go to a dressing room, whether it be the Flyers, the Blue Jackets, Calgary Flames, or in this case the national U.S. team, that's home to him. It's reassuring to him. It's you to see the other guys, and I think it's a great outlet for him, and good on the U.S. team for inviting him. And it's just going to, I think it might give him an edge, too.
Do you know Johnny and Matt, Lauren?
Not well, but yes.
What does it mean for the community of Philadelphia? Because Johnny never played for Philadelphia.
I was so hoping he would.
A lot of people were.
Yeah.
And
that would have been really cool to see him in a Flyers jersey, because I know those boys were both big Flyers fans growing up. And Eagles fans.
How bad do you want Beck, who's 14? We talk about kids. Listen, every parent thinks their kid's going to be a superstar in whatever they do, and that's great because that's what parents are for. Some it actually works out. If Beck actually made the NHL and became a Ranger, you going to root for them against the Flyers?
I told him wherever he plays, I will put on that jersey, just never in my building. I'll support him wherever he goes.
All righty, Brad, you got the Warriors team you coach. They're all over the place. Coming to the time of the year where the alumni is doing stuff. The fight night, which is always great.
Yes.
Tell us about a few of the things you're involved in right now.
Actually heading to St. Louis tomorrow with one of the Warrior teams. We got our Tier 4 team going out to the St. Louis to play in a tournament there. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, Friday Night Fights is March 28th, and then we have an alumni weekend in June. And so we got a very busy summer coming up.
Lauren, have you ever gotten into a fight with another anthem singer from another city?
No, not yet. Never say never. No, not yet.
All right, final question to you guys.
I got all the times I've watched you sing, I think it would, and you've probably happened and I missed it, it'd be cool to have a choir with you.
Oh, we've done that a couple times. Yeah,
okay.
Right?
It must have been when I lived in Ottawa.
But we did that quite a few times. Yeah, it was fun. It was great to have.
Yeah, was it a kids choir?
We had a bunch of different. We had a bunch of. We had a school one year, and then we had a bunch of just Grammy
And you grade yourself every night. Like right after the song, I did a great job. I wasn't great
Of course
tonight.
I do.
Yep. Yeah. That's how you stay great. That's how you stay on that edge. Like you with hockey, Brad.
Oh, yeah, you got to always self-evaluate.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we've had a lot of fun tonight. It's kind of an offbeat guest we have in Lauren Hart, who's a great addition to the Flyers family from back in day one. We wish you the best of luck, Lauren. You're an absolute doll and a treat to have in the Flyer family. We hope Beck gets to the NHL and as a Flyer, why not, right?
I hope so.
Down the road. And say hi to Todd and everybody. Brad.
Will do.
Great show. Next week we have Riley Cote at Drexel Hill. He'll be with us, and we'll have a good time there.
Riley, big fan.
There we are. Have fun with the Four Nations Cup. World Cup starting in 28, announced by the NHL today. We'll read about that. This has been On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Chris Hermer produced this fine program. Stephen Lawler, a great job back at the station. Wish Stephen good luck. He's been through a couple of family problems with his house. We wish him the best of luck. Everybody out there, have fun at the parade Friday. Have fun with the Flyers. This is Paul Jolovitz for Brad Marsh and Lauren Hart saying good night, everybody. Have a great week, and go Flyers.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W297CL Levittown.
There's no